Spin-offs have been happening in media for ages, and video games are no different. In fact, some of the best games ever made have been spin-offs. However, while some spin-offs have used a new game to further explore a known IP, others have been blatant cash grabs that insult the fans they're trying to take advantage of. Now, what is a spin-off? Well, for the purpose of this list, I'm considering a spin-off as a game that features a drastic change in characters, visuals, gameplay, or any combination of the three to an already established game and or franchise. Kind of how like this show is a bit of a spin-off of the main Completionist episodes, in a way. It's weird. As always, this is my list and my list alone, and your opinions are yours, so you can keep them to yourself, or you can complain. Either way, here are my top 10 worst video game spin-offs.
Number 10.
I feel that I am one of the few people out there that liked Final Fantasy XIII. Gameplay at the end of the day was super fun, and some of the characters are very interesting, and the game looks beautiful. But overall, the story is very confusing to say the least. And I really appreciated how Final Fantasy XIII 2 took a different approach by taking a lot of the feedback and tried to do some fun Back to the Future time travel things, while also taking 13's main character, Lightning, and putting her to the side. But then, not too long afterwards, trotting along the side of this newfound trilogy is another game known as Lightning Returns Final Fantasy XIII 3, and it continues the story of Lightning after she's been recovered in Final Fantasy XIII 2. While I thought the combat evolved way better from the previous two games, the story was an absolute garbage fire, and you had the terrible misfortune of having to play another game as Lightning. And don't you dare even get me started when it comes to the nostalgia bait this game had for longtime Final Fantasy fans. Depending on where you pre-ordered or bought your game from, you would get a costume and or outfit that would be from different Final Fantasy games. So if you want Lightning to look and play like Cloud, Aerith, or Yuna, at the time you had to buy and download and pre-order the games from all different places. Eventually you could buy it all from the store, but here's the thing, it doesn't make the game any better. Now, I know what you're thinking, Gerard, Final Fantasy XIII 3 is a sequel, not a spin-off. And that's true, but it's also not true. Due to how Square Enix builds and names their games, it's easily confusing to everyone. What about Final Fantasy X-2? X-2 definitely continues the story of Final Fantasy X, but it's never really mentioned in lists about the main Final Fantasy series. How about Dirge of Cerberus Final Fantasy VII, or Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII? One of these games has one of the best stories, some of the best gameplay, and one of the best compelling protagonists in JRPG history, and the other is Dirge of Cerberus. Because of the sheer confusion this goddamn numbering system has caused, I decided to just put it all to rest and put Final Fantasy XIII 3 on the list, because it is easily the worst offender of this. Also, I think it's a bad game. Just saying.
Number 9.
The Dead or Alive series was always more famous for its graphics than its gameplay. The game's always controlled fine, and the smooth textures and amazing backgrounds were also, okay, who am I kidding? The game was famous for its boobies. Seriously, the jiggle physics are ridiculous and a sight to behold. At some point, Tecmo had to say, why make the effort to make an actual complex fighting game? We know what sells. And thus, Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball was born. Tecmo essentially cut out every male character and made the female characters dress up in tiny bikinis and play volleyball. What do you get for winning each match? Money to buy more sexy outfits. In my eyes, the best way to approach this game would have been to not cut all the male characters and to give this more of a Windjammers approach. Gigantic super moves, over-the-top animations, embrace that crazy graphical texture-based characters that Tecmo is known for. Or if you just want boobies, then just call it boobies. Look, I'm not trying to get on my political high horse here. I really don't care. But as far as the game goes, this is gratuitous. I could forgive it if there was an actual game involved. Instead, there's the most basic of basic volleyball gameplay that is so unbelievably easy, it's kind of insulting. Look, if you want to play a game for its sexiness, go ahead. There are dozens of anime titles out there that you can play. I'm not against that, but you can find those games that are sexier, look better, and actually play better that are also free. And don't ask me how I know that. Shut up. Next game.
Number 8.
The Metal Gear Solid series has always been exciting, cinematic, dramatic, ridiculous, nerve-wracking, and a ton of fun. This is mostly due to the director and creator of the series, Hideo Kojima, a true auteur in the gaming industry. Some people even consider him one of the greatest game directors of all time. However, after Kojima split with Konami, the company that owns the Metal Gear brand, a lot of people were wondering just what this meant for the series. Konami has become infamous for their destruction of IPs in order to try and make a quick buck lately. They recently did this with the Silent Hill pachinko machines. Would Metal Gear suffer the same fate? To put it simply, yeah. Metal Gear Survive is an action-adventure multiplayer survival game. You wander around the world and battle zombies while saving other survivors and trying to earn upgrades for your base. And while in concept this doesn't sound like a bad idea, this clearly is disrespectful to Hideo Kojima and what he's established with the Metal Gear Solid franchise. They took the engine and the gameplay and everything that was great about Metal Gear Solid 5 and tried to keep that train going. And what we got was a really weird and awfully integrated designed game. The game is already terrible, and I haven't even gone into the microtransactions portion of it. And while I am nervous about what the future holds for the Metal Gear Solid franchise, I am very excited to see what Hideo Kojima's new project turns into. Death Stranding. I just hope it makes sense, and I hope that it's good.
Number 7.
The joke with every Sonic racing game has always been, well, why does Sonic need a car? He's the fastest thing alive. He should be able to run faster than any car. Well, that's because they've already tried that, and it's terrible. Sonic R is infamous for how insane it is to control. You play as the normal cast of characters and literally sprint your way around the tracks. And this game moves so unbelievably fast that it is almost unplayable. It's crazy to say that the controls are actually too responsive. When you move at 1,000,000 miles per hour and can only turn on a dime, it gets incredibly disorienting. I actually needed Dramamine to battle the motion sickness with this game. I mean, the game has its charms with the way every Sonic game does. The theme song is definitely still incredible, but the controls are always the most important part of any racing game, and this game controls like a marble on a linoleum floor smothered in margarine. Fortunately, Sonic Team and Sega both learned from their mistakes and produced the far more superior Sega and Sonic All-Star Racing series, and they never made a bad game again.
Number 6.
Now, it's no surprise that I am a huge Metroid fan. Whether it's Super Metroid or the Prime series, I love me some Metroid. But up until 2016, the last Metroid game to come out was Other M, which was, you know, as everyone says, disappointing. Fans were yearning for a new Prime or classic style game, and most importantly, we wanted to see Samus back to her regular badass self. Instead, we got 4 unnamed soldiers in mech suits on the Nintendo 3DS. Metroid Federation Force mostly suffers from poor timing. The game itself is not terrible, so to speak. It's basically Left 4 Dead with the Metroid coat of paint. But that's exactly the problem. This could be any generic shooting game. The thing that made Metroid so exciting was its sense of exploration and extreme attention to detail. You actually felt like you were exploring an alien world. Federation Force was just about shooting. If Metroid Federation Force came out closer to a main Metroid game, I'm sure my opinion of the game would be different, but it wasn't, so it goes on this list. Sorry, buddy.
Number 5.
Although Metroid Federation Force completely caught fans off guard, Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City got fans excited. Actually, now that I think about it, the two games are incredibly similar. Take a franchise famous for its solo adventure and give it team-based multiplayer. But while Federation Force mostly had bad timing, Operation Raccoon City is just a broken game. That amazing Resident Evil atmosphere is nowhere to be seen here. AI teammates are completely useless, encouraging multiplayer, and you play as a group of generic soldiers instead of any of the cool characters we've been introduced to before. And while you can play as the main characters in the Heroes multiplayer mode, it doesn't change the fact that I am playing a boring shooter in a boring setting as Weird Goggle Soldier number 3. If I have learned anything from these two games, it's that you shouldn't take games that are famous for their atmosphere and amazing single-player experience and slap their name on a basic team-based shooter. Put your own cool flair on it, man.
Number 4.
No gaming franchise has more spin-offs than the Mario series. RPGs, puzzle games, and every sport known to mankind. And when you have that many games, there are bound to be some stinkers. Two games that I have played that are particularly terrible are Mario is Missing and Mario's Time Machine. The goal for both games is to entertain the player while they educate them about geography and history respectively. However, both games look equally awkward, control equally terrible, and neither successfully teaches you anything proper. Since both games are equally terrible, I decided to include them both in this list as one entry, the Mario Educational Suite. If you want to decide which is the worst game, take a look at either of the episodes I've done. I've already spent over 20 minutes talking about each game, which is already more time than any of the designers spent thinking about these games.
Number 3.
Mortal Kombat was revolutionary when it came out. It was absolutely brutal when compared to other fighting games like Street Fighter and Street Fighter. But did you ever want to know the background behind any of the rainbow assortment of ninjas in the game? Mortal Kombat Mythology SubZero was supposed to be the start of a new series of Mortal Kombat games, exploring the history behind each character, starting with the iconic SubZero. And while it's not a terrible idea, the execution was infuriating. Fighting game mechanics for an action platformer can work. Just look at Super Smash Bros. Brawl. But the amount of random death traps and leap of faith platforming moments made this game more frustrating than any final boss I've ever encountered in a fighting game. And to top it all off, you don't even start off with any of Sub-Zero's ice moves. You have to earn them. The only highlight is the addition of the FMV cutscenes in the PS1 version. These are absolutely hilarious and great to watch with friends. You can find them on YouTube, but at the end of the day, guys, Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero may be one of the most frustrating and depressingly bad spin-offs I've ever played.
Number 2.
Pokemon has offered a ton of different spin-offs released over the years, and while I haven't experienced all of them, I am familiar with a few. And one of them is easily the game that has angered me most in my gaming career, and I was drunk when I played it. Hey You Pikachu, in my eyes, is the most technically broken game on the Nintendo 64. It was advertised as such a fun experience. You got your very own Pikachu, you could talk to it, a microphone attachment came with the game, you can move forward on missions by talking into the microphone and telling Pikachu what to do. What exciting Poke adventures would unfold? Well, the main adventure is screaming at said Pikachu until you are red in the face because this goddamn pocket monster won't listen. Now, communication is key in any relationship, and it is especially key when the only way to progress in the game is to tell Pikachu what to do, and most of the time, it just stands there confused. I say exactly what the game tells me to say, and still, this electric mouse won't listen. It's like you're watching the Pokemon anime, but it's only the first few episodes where Pikachu won't listen to you. No, you know what it is? It's like watching Dora the Explorer, and Dora says, "Do you know what to do?" And you scream the answer as loud as you can, and Dora never talks back. But the worst part, the icing on the cake, at the very end of the game, Professor Oak makes you say goodbye to Pikachu, and Pikachu gets sad and runs off into the forest. This was clearly supposed to be a sad moment, but instead, I was mad. Mad that there was no real payoff, and that I wasted so much time trying to talk to the stupid freaking Pikachu.
Number 1.
Every game on this list made me angry in some way. Broken controls, dumb story, bad timing. In my eyes, they're all terrible. But only one game made me truly sad. And that, my friends, was Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. The Animal Crossing games are a ton of fun and relaxing to most people. While I am not the biggest Animal Crossing fan, I can see the importance of a game based on relaxation. Pick fruit, help neighbors, and pay off your house. Whatever you have to do to please that money-grubbing Tom Nook. Amiibo Festival is a blatant cash grab to sell amiibos. It is a bare-bones Mario Party game where you have to roll with an amiibo. And where the other Animal Crossing games are calm and enjoyable, Amiibo Festival is just full-on boring. The controls aren't bad and the game looks okay, but it is the definition of mediocrity. New Leaf was great and fans were ecstatic for a new Animal Crossing game on the Wii U. Instead, we were stuck with this lame, boring, cash grab, sad-inducing game. All the heart and passion that usually goes into their games were nowhere to be seen here. As someone who does not like Animal Crossing, I felt bad for everyone. And that is why I believe that Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival is my pick for the worst spin-off game of all time. So there you have it. Those were my top 10 worst spin-off games. But there are so many spin-offs in the universe, and I know that there are a ton of terrible ones that I missed. So let me know what yours are in the comments down below. That's all, guys, and I'll see you all next time.